We've mentioned there was quite a lot of negative interviews, well, a lot of negative opinions about Mapplethorpe when you interviewed him. What were some common things said across a lot of the interviews that were negative?
Selfish. One person said to me, he elevated selfishness to an art form, and that was it. People would say, if they weren't necessarily working with him, he could be very sweet, as he was with me. He could be gentle. He could be very polite. There was a kindness there, but I don't know how often it came out. The selfishness, so many artists are selfish. It was trying to get things at all cost and really not caring what happened to the other people.
Was it narcissistic?
Yes, but again, that's probably par for the course. I think that he could use people, and certainly when he went, for me, the most disturbing aspect of the biography then, and certainly now when I read it, is when Mapplethorpe kept on going to this bar where a lot of Black gay men hung out, would offer them drugs, pick them up. That was, and there was a dehumanizing element. A lot of people think the portraits are beautiful, and they are. But Robert was very liberal about using the N word and saying things that were pretty shocking to me. And then also guiding me to interview people who your jaw would drop open just to hear what they would say. I can't believe they'd be saying this now. Maybe they would, but there was a group of men who would go to this bar, white men, and pick up, for the most part, poor, uneducated Black men, offer them drugs, have sex with them. And, sometimes Robert took their pictures, most famously Milton Moore, who was a man in polyester suit, who was broke and schizophrenic. So Robert loved him. I think he loved his physical appearance primarily because Milton was so psychotic that at one point he jumped into the Hudson River and he almost set fire to Robert's loft. And then Robert was delusional enough to think that maybe he should send him back to school. He was AWOL, I think, AWOL from the Navy. It was a potentially dangerous situation. And Robert he then just became a physical creature for him. And Robert really just didn't see him for who he was. And that ended pretty disastrously. But Robert still started to cry when he would mention Milton Moore. Something about him touched Robert very deeply, but it was really totally crazy relationship.
Do you think that was the most shocking kind of relationship that you got to learn about, or there any more that were even worse than that?
I think obviously the most shocking revelation, because Robert wanted to be famous, and in many ways it's the story of Faust. He wanted this fame, and what happens? As he said to me, I just hope I live long enough to see the fame. He knows that he blocks out the idea that he's ill. He's got swollen lymph nodes. He's clearly contracted AIDS and doesn't want to admit it to himself. He then, knowing that, even after he's been diagnosed, he's very angry. According to a half a dozen sources, we don't know, is he using protection? Maybe. But after he had AIDS, he continued to have sex with these Black men, which to me is unconscionable, but he did. So that was perhaps the most shocking and most unappealing is too weak a word, I'm afraid. But yeah.
So did he not even mention that he had AIDS when you were interviewing him?
I knew that he did. That had come out prior to the Whitney exhibit. Yes.
Yeah. But was he, like you said, was he just completely forgetting he even had it, just acting like
he knew. And you saw what was sad is that he recognized it at a certain point because he wasn't able to get out. The sexual contacts were nil. And once he lost that sense of sexual desire or the possibility that he was going to find the perfect sexual partner, he still believed that. He started to take photographs of pieces of sculpture, whereas before he turned men and women into pieces of sculpture. Now he was trying to breathe life into pieces of sculpture. It was very sad. At times he would say to me, I'm dying. So yes, he did know, but it was almost that fame was such a drug that I think he thought if he could get a monthly infusion of it, it would be like AZT and he'd be able to stay alive. That's what kept him going more than anything. The papers, the reviews. He had the show at the Whitney and then did show up, which is amazing. He was very upset when the photographer, Jonathan Becker, from Vanity Fair, took this picture of him, showing him looking not his best, because Robert, as from seeing the portraits, he really wanted to bring out best in people. Let's not say best, what he saw as the best. So that was totally devastating for him. He mentioned it to me. He said he made me look like something out of Deanne Arbus. But yes, he did. He was very aware